Yes, we're live. We're live. We are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dance Fair live stream. It took a while today. That is because at the moment, half of the Dance Fair team is pretty much preparing for the Dance Fair event itself. So we're working with a half team right here, and obviously, as Murphy's Law dictates, things go a bit south. But then again, that is half of being a producer anyway, how to solve your problems. So, today you're stuck with me. No special guest? Nope, because we have a very other special guest in the studio today, and that special guest, my dear people, is you. Because Dance Fair is not exactly about me, or about the organization, or the DJs. It's about you, the future DJs, and the future producers, and the people that make this industry work, and especially will make it work tomorrow. So, Dance Fair and how to survive it. That is what I'm going to talk about today. So basically, we're going to talk about three major things. First of all, Dance Fair, what is it? What can you do? What can you expect? How to behave? Number two, I'm going to give you a lot of tips about being a DJ, becoming a DJ, and share a little bit of the knowledge I have acquired over the years. Since I'm not doing any workshops myself, I'm only hosting workshops this year at Dance Fair, I thought it would be a good time to already give you a little bit of a taste of what Dance Fair is about. And thirdly, I will be talking about producing. And the thing is, I've been producing pretty much 20 years now. I started when I was 14, and I'm 34 right now. I'm getting old. So, I have been getting a lot of questions, and those of you who know me know that I always try to answer everybody online. So I pretty much saw all the questions there are out there, and I'm gonna try to answer at least all the questions everybody is always asking, so that when you go to Dance Fair this weekend, you'll be well prepared to ask the really interesting stuff to the DJs and the producers and the software developers and hardware developers you love so much. So, how to survive Dance Fair? Well, first of all, the basics. It is this weekend, that is February the 17th, and Sunday the 18th. It starts at about 10 o'clock and lasts till 7. So 10 till 7, and you'll get a whole lot of music and a whole lot of knowledge for that. The tickets are both days exactly the same price, 39 euros, excluding the taxes and all the ticket handling fees. So it will come down to a 41 euro and 17 cents. Now you might ask, why mention that? Well, we're in the Netherlands, and it just so happens to be that our government just passed a law last year that event prices must be including everything. So it's not even a question if the government is watching you, but hi government, you see, doing my best here. Also, so it's like 41 euros and 17 cents for one day. But if you want to go both days, oh, you're going to save half on the next day. It's 61 euros and 17 cents. You can find all this info at dancefair.tv. If you've watched this show before, there is one producer in special that most DJs really, really, really like. And his name is Maarten Voorwerk. He's behind some of the greatest hits you know, and he's behind even more hits you didn't even know he was behind them. And if you go to Dance Fair and if you buy your tickets, you'll get his book for free. That's right. If you go to Dance Fair and buy your tickets, you'll get that book for free. Next to that, we had hotel deals, but since there's a lot of people coming to the Dance Fair, hotel is booked, full, sold out, done. Sorry, you'll have to find your own place to stay. Also, if you're not the greatest fan of doing things online and you don't really trust banks and everything, you can buy tickets at any Primera shop in the Netherlands. There's about 450 of them, so I think you can manage to fix that. All right, so that's the basics. You know how to get tickets, you know when it is, where. That's a good one. Utrecht, the Jaarbeurshalle in Utrecht. It's huge, you can't miss it. If you, however, can miss it, well, perhaps producing is not for you. So, what's this Dance Fair thingy all about? Now, right now, I assume you know what it's about because, well, you're watching Dance Fair at either my Facebook or Dance Fair's Facebook. But let me explain some shit real quick. It's about 6,000 square meters of exposition floor, and on there you can find literally any developer of software you can use to make music, any hardware developer. And especially the last one is very handy because if you're like me, and I'm a gadget freak, and I always want to find, try new stuff, and, I'm the kind of guy that constantly YouTube, Googles things like the 10 gadgets as producer you must get. And then I'll find interesting things, but, try before you buy. Well, that's what Dancefair is all about. Since all the hardware suppliers are actually there, you can try their goodies. So if there's like one particular thing that caught your eye and you're thinking about buying it, wait, don't yet. Go to Dancefair, buy it there. Or don't buy it there, test it there. Besides that, we've got 250 music brands, workshops, seminars, panels, stands, basically any form of tutorial YouTube would have wished they had. Beyond that, a very important thing why you should go are the artists. I can't name them all because, well, then this whole episode would be me naming artists. I think it's between 100 or 200, maybe more. But just to name a few, Secret Cinema, Layback Luke, Frontliner, Armin van Buren, Dirt Caps, Tony Jr., Mike Williams, Brooke Belton, Weasel La Fuente, Outsiders, Mighty Fools, Janky Beats. Is that enough for you? You want more? Mesto, he's particularly good at doing workshops. Justin Milo, Diaz and Bruno, Ruthless. Sophie Francis will be there, so for all the boys out there, Sophie Francis. And my brothers, Bougainvillea, will be there. So, we got a gigantic hall. We've got 2 days. We've got all the hardware, software, and all the artists. And what we need is you. So right now, go to dancefair.tv and order your tickets today. It's going very fast. As I've told you, the hotel tickets and the combi tickets of hotel and entrance have already been sold the fuck out. So be sure to buy them online and buy them fast. But beyond this, well, I think rather impressive list of things we have. I think personally, Dancefair is about the vibe on the floor. Because I've been to the Miami Winter Music Conference. I've been to, Amsterdam Dance event for many, many, many years. But even though you'll find a lot of artists during the Amsterdam Dance event, for example, it's quite hard to approach them because they're pretty much scattered all around the city. Now, Dancefair is a little bit different. It's sort of like a petting zoo for artists. We all just walk around there, off the leash, approachable, and most of us are pretty much fresh and not hungover, which is kind of rare. So, there are a lot of artists there, and they are reachable. You can talk to them, you can squeeze them if you want to, although I would not advise it. Most of them will hit back. So, what makes Dancefair also unique is the fact that you can try anything. And like I said, the whole hardware department, it's so much fun to try the hardware you've been checking out online and finally get the touch and feel of it because, a lot of store owners are not too happy about that if you do that. And the best thing about it is you're not talking to the store owner. The actual developers of the hardware are there. So if you got questions like, can I do that? There's not going to be some dickhead salesperson that doesn't know their hardware. Hey, they live that shit. So that's also a good one. Another great thing about the vibe is you can ask questions to anybody. And I think this cannot be stressed enough. You don't have to ask questions. You must ask questions. Because if you're like me and if you're a producer, then your head is always full of questions of how to get better, how to get this, how to get that. And Dancefair is the place to ask questions. And everybody is there to answer your questions. And you will not be alone. You will be there with a ton of other producers. So that is the vibe. You know the vibe. You know the place, the location, the price. But now, how to survive it all. For me personally, that is try not to speak too loud, because otherwise I will not have a voice. But if you are a DJ and or a producer, I can tell you a few things about how to best prepare yourself, and I've survived quite a few dance fairs right now. So let me tell you this. First of all, charge your phone. It's so stupid I'll have to say that, but wow. I have met so many people that wanted to take a picture, ooh, phone empty. Wanted to store my number, ooh, phone empty. Do you really want to be in a conversation with Hartwell or with Armin van Buuren or with Layback Luke? And he's like, oh yeah, dude, you can have my number just to find out your phone is empty? I don't think so. And if you are an extra prepared squirrel or sort of a perfectionist, bring a power bank. Makes your life a whole lot easier. And also, while you're at it, make sure your phone has enough space because you are going to want to record a whole lot of things and take a whole lot of pictures, and you don't want to be that guy that when your favorite producer is there and you're in that selfie moment and your phone just says, meh. And it's not empty, but it's full. So also, do that. Beyond that, might be handy to take a notebook with you because you might have the quickest fingers on a phone. Sometimes you just need to write things down. And it's not that often that you'll meet your favorite producers up close and personal. And trust me, they'll appreciate it if you write down some things. It will give them the idea that they are important, which they like. All right, and last but not least, preparation-wise, check the website. All the info is there, when all the seminars are, when all the workshops are, and be sure to subscribe to them. Be sure to, make sure you are allowed to enter because, some workshops everybody wants to go. But there is also a bit of a manual, and I wrote this this morning. Actually, last night, couldn't sleep for some reason. I was just too busy in my head. About meeting artists. Well, you've got to understand artists a little bit. First of all, we're just like you. We're not a different species. We don't breathe fire. We don't shit gold. We're just like you. We love music. We love playing it, making it, and we love buttons. So pretty much you'll find out that some of your favorite artists are bigger nerds than you would have expected. So when you meet an artist, remember, we're just like you. No need to get all nervous and fiddly and everything. Because every self-respecting artist still realizes the day he started. And for me personally, I always keep that in the back of my mind as I try not to see a difference between where I am right now and where you are right now. I mean, I might have a better mic here, but I don't think you love music more than me or that I love music more than you. We're pretty much the same. So, another thing about the artist, some artists are pretty busy during the dance fair. So, they might be in a hurry. That doesn't mean they're complete dicks, but, talking to one guy or actually talking to the 800 people at your next workshop. It's kind of a thing. So, don't be alarmed if they're in a hurry. It's not that they don't like you. They might just be in a hurry. And also, we might not have time to listen to your demo on the spot. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But please do understand if we don't. But between you and me, just give it a go. Just ask. That's the thing about Dance Fair. Fuck it. Just ask. As long as you're being respectful, everything be okay. And in all my years at the dance fair, I've never encountered so many people that were so respectful and so patient. I've seen people waiting in line for more than an hour for some DJs just to let their demo be heard. And, well, it kind of makes sense because this is one of those chances you get where they will actually hear your demo. So, be patient. I haven't encountered too many asswipes who thought they knew everything, because that's pretty much the reason why we are all there, even though we don't even know everything. Actually, I know very little compared to much better producers and DJs than me. But, luckily I have never encountered too many wise asses during dance fair, especially not during my workshops, because, I'll make minced meat out of you. Another thing I tend to do, it's sort of a fault of my own, but I noticed every producer has this. It's well, you got your number. Yay, can you please listen to my demo? And it's the same with me when I've got a brand new song and I wanted to show it to one of my friends or my manager. And instead of just like, here's the number, play it, I start to not even sell it. I start to excuse myself. You know, things like, well, don't mind the mastering. It's not really perfect. And I was in a kind of a hurry, so the vocal is a bit off. And, you know, it will take 3-4 minutes and you'll be excusing yourself for anything. Just don't. Everybody at Dancefair is a producer. We know how it works. We know what unmastered means. And just like you can hear whether a song is good or not, we can as well. And it has nothing to do with the mixing and mastering. I mean, you can hear a voice clip of some guy and think, wow, that track's amazing. Well, how much of your mixing and mastering will stay alive in a voice clip? So don't make any excuses. If you want to show us a song, just show us the song. Here it is. We'll listen. We'll talk. We'll give you some advice. You'll be on your way. And tomorrow, you'll be pretty much a better producer than all of us. At least, that's the plan. Another thing you should not ask is collaborations. And I've been in a situation where I met some of my favorite artists, and I was a bit nervous. And I'm not the type of guy to pop the question, but some guys are like, hey, dude, yeah, I've seen you on Facebook. Yeah, you were in Tomorrowland. Yeah, I just started a week ago. Can we collaborate? No, that's just not gonna happen. Simply out of a business point of view. I mean, if you are Martin Garrix, why should you collaborate with a guy that just started a week ago? Just forget the fact that he's like insanely famous, but you know, his skill level is there, and if you're starting out, you're there. So it'll be pretty much him doing all the work, and you'll get half the credits for that. So as a trade, purely business-wise, that's not going to happen. If you want to collaborate, my tip to you, try to find artists that are in the same, well, I hate to say level, because then it would sound like some people are better than others, but I don't mean it that way. But are in the same phase of their production career. It will be much more fun to collaborate because you both know exactly pretty much the same things, and you can explore together without one always taking the lead over the other and everything. And I just got asked for a collaboration by some dude with 3 Facebook followers last night, and yeah, it's kind of strange because as a person, I'm like, oh, it's really cool. Somebody wants to work with me. But then again, you know, I've got on my shoulder not an angel and a devil. I've got an agent and a manager. And then the manager is like, no, that will not make money. And then the agent's like, yeah, what he said. So, yeah, collaborations are a sort of a sensitive subject. You don't even bother asking the guys up top. I mean, they will feel flattered, but some will just, you know, sort of shut down. Also, once you've done your business, you've talked to your favorite artist, don't stick around for ages. It's not that we hate you. It's not that we don't like you. We love the fact that you were all there. But there's many other people that want to speak us to, that want to talk to us too, just like you. So yeah, I'm not gonna quote Ludacris here and say "move, bitch, get out of the way," because that will be a bad thing. But yeah, please do try to keep it short. That makes it easier for us as well to speak to as many of you as possible and help you all as good as we can. And I had some occasions where some people wanted to show me a demo, and they started with their complete life story. Now, as a human being, I'm always interested in what happens with people around me and what they've been through. But, you know, when there's 20 people waiting in line behind that person, I do feel for you, but try to keep it short. Beyond that, artists are pretty nice people. And it sounds like it's really restrictive, but these are all just tips. You know, it's sort of like Pirates of the Caribbean. The code. More like guidelines anyway. But beyond that, have fun. You'll find that most artists you'll meet are actually super relaxed girls and guys that know exactly how you feel and what you're going through. And if you have the kind of music that they make, you might make a connection for life. So, you're at the dance fair, you bought your tickets, and if you have not bought your tickets, go now at www.dancefair.tv. I think I'm getting a hint here. Oh, it's dancefair.nl or dancefair.co. Well, whatever. No, dancefair.nl. Sorry for the whole me being a commercial break guy today, but I'm giving you all the ins and outs. So, you have your tickets. You're all set. You're ready. You have your productions. You're not going to make excuses for the fact that the mastering isn't perfect. But how are you going to bring it? So, step number 7 of surviving dance fair. Preparing your music. And this sounds so stupid that I'll have to explain it. But it's not that I've met people that didn't get it. It's that I've met people that overdid it, that spent way too much time on their USB stick. And I know they wanted to make the best impression they can. But, you know, some things are like showing a painting to a blind person. You might have spent a great deal of time painting it, but it's not really going to work. So if you want to show somebody something on your phone, yeah, a lot of people do that. Download it to your phone. Because, you know, just like this episode got a little bit delayed due to Murphy's Law, everything that can go wrong will go wrong. Well, you'll see. The internet on your phone will be failing at the moment you want to show it to your favorite artist. So download it to your phone. Use a thing like Dropbox. It's free. It works. Google Drive. Send it to your own email. Also, when you want people to listen to your music, bring a headphone. I don't mean the things in your ears. Headphone. The big one. Because there's nothing more disgusting than having to put somebody else's in-ears with all the yellow bits and pieces into your ears. And if you want your favorite artist to cringe while you're like, please listen to my demo. Yeah. All right. Bring headphones in that case. Well, if, however, you're like, nah, that's too temporary. I want my favorite artist to really have a memory of me. Well, bring a USB stick. Little inside secret, we love USB sticks. So if you bring a USB stick with your music, keep it simple. I've seen people bringing USB sticks with photos on it, completely printed, glittering gold. The only thing I haven't seen was LED lights and tactile feedback on it. But apart from that, I pretty much saw everything. A simple supermarket USB stick will suffice just fine. No need to spend tons and tons of money of that on a USB stick. As for us producers and DJs, it's just about the music that's on there. And yeah, just keep it simple. And also, when you are putting your music on there, just keep it simple as well. Just an MP3 file, 192 kilobyte per second to 320 is perfect. I've seen guys trying to give me USB stick with massively big files, like 32-bit, 60 and 96 kilohertz wave files in whatever channels. Don't. Just an MP3 is fine. And for the rest, one simple text file. Just USB, 2, 3 tracks, and a simple text file is enough. And in the text file, put your phone number in there because you want your favorite artist to know how to reach you. Also, your email and your Facebook and Instagram. That's it. I've received a couple of USB sticks with a complete life story on there with videos and everything. How flattering that may be, labels and artists are simply not going to read it. So just keep it simple, save yourself the trouble. Also, don't put a whole album of pictures on there because most artists just believe in music for what music really is. And that is why we are at the dance fair. And we're not really about the hype like, oh my God, that guy is cute. His music sucks, but I'm going to sign him anyway. Nah, that's not happening. All right. So you got your USB stick. You've got everything in the lockdown. Now, what exactly can you expect from an artist you'll meet there? Well, firstly, do ask things of artists when it is within their genre. There's little to no point with standing in line for, well, let's say Secret Cinema with your latest trap production. They know nothing about trap. I mean, it serves little point to give me a demo of your latest techno track because I know very little about techno. I can't really help you with that. There are tons and tons of really, really good techno producers and DJs out there at Dancefair, so please go to them because they can help you much better. In my case, I only do like deep house or shallow house, whatever, what's in the name, future house, bass house, UK bass, UK garage, two-step, that whole area. That is my thing, and I can really help people with that. But if people give me like a progressive EDM track, yes, of course I can listen to the mixing and the mastering, and on a technical level, there's always something I can help you with, but there are other DJs that make that music and play that music that know it much better than me. And the trick is to, go to them, and if you got a bass house track, go to me because, yay, I'll get happy of bass house, and I can help you much better. Another thing, and this is sort of an inside scoop, so don't tell this to anybody. Artists are usually pretty lazy animals. Or sometimes, metaphorically, not enough peanut butter spread out over too much sandwiches. AKA, they're quite busy and they're quite forgetful. So if you gave your demo to them on Dancefair, just follow up. Just the day after, and then the week after, and then an hour after, whatever. Just talk the shit out of them about, hey, dude, did you listen to my demo? I think it once took me 3 months before I answered to somebody's demo. Sorry about that. But I did answer. And it was only because the guy just basically in a funny way stalked me like, hey, dude, you're supposed to listen to my demo and you already told me you were going to do it last week and then the week before and then a month before. Eventually I did and gave him some feedback. It was not because I hated the guy, but, sometimes we artists tend to be a bit busy and forgetful. So after you've given your demo, the next day, the next week, follow up, send them a message on Instagram, on Twitter, on Snapchat, on whatever social media they post. If you see them active, and that is where Instagram stories come in handy. If you see them like lively, hey, he's posting something on Instagram stories. Get him! Start stalking. Another thing you need to know, and what you can expect from an artist, if an artist hears your song and starts giving like really evasive, long, wavy, vague answers, that is a polite way of saying no. They don't want to say that something is not to their liking, so they'll usually get politely vague. Take the hint. Some artists, however, like me, I tend to give really direct, straightforward, and honest answers. Doesn't mean I'm going to take the piss with you. I always try to get into people's heads, like, where are you right now as a producer? How long have you been working? And what is your equipment? And so I can give you a proper advice at a level where you are at the moment. So it will be most useful. That's what I mean with direct and honest. I'll tell you what I think about it. But I never encountered anybody that came from Dancefair and said, well, I had feedback from this artist. What a dick. Nah. Everybody's pretty friendly. So use that one-on-one time you have with the artist as something useful. All right. So far about surviving Dancefair. It's time for a little caffeine. By the way, if you're watching right now and you have enough of my voice, well, please do turn on Spotify and put Bump and Grind on repeat. It's just released last week. This is a shameless bit of self-promo. But help Uncle Vato to pay for his bills this winter. So, a little sip. Let's talk about something else. Something different. You know enough about Dancefair right now. It's about the questions that have been asked me the most my entire life. And I think these questions are pretty much the same for any artist. So don't even bother asking them because I'm going to answer them all for you. It's real simple. The most asked questions to DJs. Here they come. Number 1. Hey, can you send me the track list of that set? Well, I can explain that one in real detail, but the answer is no. I mean, you don't walk into a restaurant, go into the kitchen and ask the chef like, oh, that's delicious. Recipe, please. You just don't do that. The second most asked question. Hey, how did you remove the vocal from that tune? I'll give you a little hint. We didn't. There's a brilliant device. It's called a phone. And it can be used to call a very special animal. It's called manager. And we artists have the option to call manager and say, yo, can you fix me the instrumental of that one? And then the manager will call the other manager of some other artist, and then cross my heart. Fingers crossed, they will arrange the instrumental. And so a lot of the times when people think we actually filtered something, we just got the acapella, or we just called up the artist, or our management did it. And then the next question after I explain that is, well, can't you hook me up? Nope. That is all a matter of trust between artists and managers. And also about the hookup part, a lot of people seem to think that when they meet me or any other DJ that's been around for a while, that we can hook them up with gigs. It's like, hey, Vato, can you, you're playing here and there, can't you put me on the lineup? Yeah, of course, I'll call up the promoter. Yo, what up, man? Yo, there's this guy, I just met him 3 minutes ago. Can you put him on prime time? No, that never happened. Sorry. If you want to be booked, you got to make sure that you'll sell tickets, or that you're such an insanely cool personality or artist that people will come for you, or that you are so deeply, deeply depressing that when you arrive and get into the booth, the entire area will just start drinking like maniacs. Even though the vibe will be fucked up, once the owner of the club notices that, you know, everybody's been drinking 5 times the normal rate, well, they'll book you again. Another, this is a great one. One of the most asked questions. Vato, how do you make your voice sound like that? It's my voice. Yeah, why does Mr. Props sound like Mr. Props? Well, pretty much because he is Mr. Props. Not everybody that's behind a mic has got a great voice. My voice used to be really, really bad. I used to have a lisp like this, really. If you hear things I made back in the days, it was insane. I had the nerd glasses, I had the trousers that were way up too high, I had my t-shirt tucked in my pants, and I talked with a lisp. I was like the nerd combo special complete with sugar on top. But you can train your voice. And if you're interested about recording your voice, I'll talk about that later. We'll come back to that. By the way, if you've got like a general question right now, we've got not too many staff here right now, because one is drooling and the other looks pretty much asleep. Oh, I thought he was dead. But if you got questions, I'll answer some questions later on. Just post them on Facebook. If you're watching this through the Vato Gonzalez Facebook page right now, please ask your questions at facebook.com/dancefair. Because, you know, I'm a guy. Multitasking is not my strong suit. So I can only check one thing at a time. Another one of those questions that pretty much every producer tends to ask of an artist. Hey, what mastering plugins do you use? Obviously, we do use mastering plugins, but I've noticed that not many producers have very fancy mastering tools on their master. It's all about the mix. If you hear an unmastered track of Oliver Heldens and the mastered version will be louder, but it doesn't sound like, oh my God, twice as good. No, it's already good. You know, that's the thing about mastering. It follows one simple basic principle, and that is crap in is crap out. If you put crap in mastering, it will be crap. If it's good, it will be better. Simple as that. Let's see what more questions we've got that everybody tends to ask. Oh no, I've got something even better. Questions are one thing. I've got a list of the 10 DJ myth that everybody thinks that is true. Yes, this is also going to include some shit about sex. And I'm answering all these questions for you right now, so you won't have to, and you can just focus on being a better producer. One of the myths that's going on there is that once you start being a DJ, you'll make a shit ton of money. No. After 5 years of me being a DJ, I think I kind of broke even or something. That was sort of the point I started getting paid more than what I drank. Then again, I did drink a lot during that time. Another myth that is also not true is that everybody thinks that we're always gone. The fact actually is that most of the time I actually spend at home. Because music does not make itself. So I spend most of my days pretty much 16 to 18 hours a day behind a studio computer, just producing, trying to fix things. And in my case, I'm also the Photoshop design After Effects nerd. But, you know, it's not true that DJs are always gone. Another thing that a lot of people seem to think, which is not true, that we have a complete team that will pretty much wipe our ass after us. No, that's also not the case. You'd be surprised how small the teams actually are behind DJs. And of course, when we're talking about a David Guetta or a Hartwell or Armin or a Garrix, yes, they have quite a huge team. But once you go down that DJ Mag top 100, woof, the teams get real small, real fast. A lot of DJs still do a lot of stuff behind the scenes themselves. They just never tell you about it, except at Dancefair. You might get a hint. One of the other legends about DJs is that we fuck like bunnies. Like we cannot even walk out of the room without, oh shit, I'm knee deep into pussy. Yeah, that's also not happening. MCs on the other hand, woof. MCs have actually got the time to look at the ladies and stuff. When I'm DJing, I'm focused on my equipment and on all the people. I want to see, the vibe of the area going the right way. I'm focused on that. I'm not focused on the cute brunette in the front. Actually, that's a bit of a lie. That's how I met my girlfriend. But, all right, I focused on a cute brunette in the front once. But usually, no, I'm not too busy with that. And once I'm done, we either have to go to the next show or to a hotel room or there's always a next thing. There's a whole lot less fucking going on than people might think. Although, 5 years ago, when I was still a bachelor, sort of a bachelor, I had fun. There's the other thing that people think is true about DJs, that we can down 2 bottles of vodka without a problem. Well, that is partially true. We can, yes, obviously, but what you won't find on social media is how we'll look the day after, and that is pretty much as shitty as anybody else. I had the luxury to see a couple of what are now the greatest DJs on the planet mentally degrade pretty rapidly after a bottle. And trust me, they're just as much flesh, blood, puke, and shit as you are. Another myth is that we don't sleep. I wonder why. We do, just not a lot. And there seems to be so many misunderstandings because a lot of DJs create this grand image where everything is cool and, pussy be falling out their pocket. They're basically all day knee-deep in fanny batter. No, that's usually not happening. And the same goes for the backstage. The backstage. Everybody wants to go backstage, and the cool things happen backstage. The backstage usually is the dirtiest place in a club. You don't want to see a backstage under UV light. Not necessarily because there might be semen everywhere, more that, well, they're not cleaning them that often. It's usually just a mess of wires, cables, and the occasional pile of puke. Backstage are pretty much not that interesting, unless you've never been there. But let me tell you, they're not that interesting. Another great thing that a lot of people have been asking is like, hey, why don't you have a private jet? Well, I can pretty much tell you this. I don't think any DJ has a private jet. As far as my knowledge goes, and I could be wrong, none of them have a private jet because private jets are always rented. Anybody can rent a private jet. I think it's somewhere in between, what is it? 3 to 6,000 euros an hour, flight hour, something like that. I don't know the exact prices, but that is sort of the price range. And, you know, if you throw in a couple of extra bucks, they'll completely sticker the airplane for you as well. So it looks like you've got your own airplane. But, you know, give it enough money, anybody can look like they've got a private jet. But trust me, as far as my knowledge goes, nobody owns a private jet. Another thing is making the music. A lot of people think it's easy for us to make music. And we are, you know, once you're at a certain level, you have the skill to make music. It's like a soccer player. You know, Ronaldo. For him, you know, it's easy to play soccer. But it remains a challenge to play it at his level because the better he got, the better his competitors got because he moved up and, you know, reached a level where it stays competitive. And the same goes for us. I've been making music for 20 years and every production is a challenge. Every production is a struggle. And that goes for me, that goes for any of the artists that is at Dancefair. And people think we just, you know, wake up and shit music. It takes time. And when you're touring a whole lot, it's actually more difficult to get like really inspired and try new things because you're in the rush of running in and out of hotel lobbies. About the myth, I've got a few more, but before I'm going to do that, let me remind you, I'm going to answer a couple of your questions. And they can be about anything, especially if they're about flamingos. So if you want to ask me a question, I'll answer it live. Just ask it on the Facebook page of Dancefair. Facebook.com/Dancefair. It's as simple as that. Just ask me a question and I'll try to answer it in a minute. Couple more myths while you think of a few questions. People think artists are pretty much unreachable. You'd be surprised if you'd answer on the Instagram stories of your favorite artists, how many will actually answer you. Trust me, we're just humans. We are able to reach. Actually, most artists really like it when we hear something from you. Sometimes there's just the image that we don't like it, but, you know, that's the image. We're just normal human beings. Actually, we're not really normal. We're discophiles, if you want to take it like official. But, yeah, we're all a bit strange. I think it was 3 years ago during the Dancefair, we had a panel with me, Quintino, and a couple of other guys from very different scenes. I think from a guy from a techno scene, guy from a hardcore scene. And there was this debate going on about whether or not artists are normal people. Well, the decision was anonymous. Everybody agreed we were not. And that there might be a slight bit of autism going on with most of us. What, however, is not going on with the most of us, what many people think, is that we've got filthy rich parents that paid everything for us. Well, if that's the case, well, then I'm not one of them. My parents were not super rich, not extremely poor. I think my parents would be like the perfect example of average. And they were also very strict about money. So at one point, I started living on my own, and I was on my own at a certain point. I didn't have a lot of money. And before that, when I wanted to buy turntables, I had to work for them myself. And I cannot even count the amount of kilos of rice I have been restocking in the local supermarket. But let me put it like this. I have been working restocking in a supermarket for so long that the people that came to work there after me, many years later than me, while I was still working there, actually thought I was the floor manager. Funny thing is, there was no position as floor manager. I was just part of the, I was just part of the supermarket. So at one point I just started to tell everybody I was the floor manager, up to the point that the actual manager came to me like, come here for a second. Yeah, I heard some stories about you being the floor manager. You do realize we don't have a floor manager. Well, I couldn't say anything. I was like, shit, I got busted. But he was cool. He was really cool about it. So he said to me, you know what? The funny thing is you actually do, the things I would like to have a floor manager do. So you actually do the floor manager job even though it doesn't exist and I don't pay you like one. So as far as I'm concerned, this is a pretty good deal for me. So, well, kind of got away with that. But just to point out how long I've been saving up for my turntables, just to find out I completely sucked at first. So, no, not everybody started out extremely rich. And I know of plenty of examples of DJs that actually have very rich parents that bought everything for them. And they all failed. Because if you need one thing, it's not money, it's perseverance, motivation, and all that stuff. All right. So much for all the myth and stuff. Let's check if I've got any questions online. Let's first check if my phone allows me to be online. And if you're wondering, why is he not on the Wi-Fi? Well, since we're streaming this, I didn't really want to risk messing up the Wi-Fi conditions around here. By the way, if you need any more reasons to go to Dancefair, don't hesitate to ask them as well. You can still buy tickets at dancefair.nl, right? Right. And just making sure before somebody throws a brick at my head here. I'm very curious what kind of questions we get, because I've pretty much covered all the basics. I think I might need... Oh, questions. It's today absolutely Murphy's Law. When things are supposed to work, well, they're actually not working. Hey, I see myself. All right. Somebody asked, how do I sign up for demo drops? I'm going to ask it around here. Demo drops, how do you do that?
Alleen voor spinning hoef je op te geven.
Only for spinning records you need to do that. And you can do that at Dancefair? Oh, you can do that at Dancefair or spinning itself. For the rest, for all the demo drops, you don't need to. You can just drop in with your demo. It is as simple as that. Oh, somebody asked, could we donate you a ticket? Well, Amadeus, and Amadeus just so happens to be one of the moderators of Future House Music. But no, we cannot donate you tickets. Peter van der Zande actually got a pretty cool question here. Did you often get demotivated, especially at the beginning of your career when creating music? And did I get to a point where I wanted to quit? Well, if you don't hate yourself at least twice a day, you are not really an artist. And that's what I always say. And it's not that I'm a very depressed person. It's simply because we as an artist, we always wanted to do it better. And we always, I used to call that the Nicky Romero problem. And then I made a song and I was really happy about it. And then Nicky came with his new song. And then I looked at my song and I was like, that can go into the trash. It happens to everybody. So do I get demotivated? Yes, of course I get demotivated. So many times when I made a track and I think, yeah, it sounds really great. Then I hear the new one of Oliver Heldens and I just want to throw myself away. But the trick is to pick yourself up again. And every artist reaches that point where he doesn't really want to do music anymore, where he's like, you know what, I'm done with this. I haven't really got the inspiration or the energy. And that's pretty much because they lost sight of why they love music in the first place. So if you are in that point, there is a trick to re-motivate yourself. because you're constantly in a phase trying to push yourself to the point where you start making new music. But every time you sit down and you start making stuff, it's completely rubbish. Flip the script. Make a deal with yourself. And the deal is very simple. You're not allowed to make music for a month. Just make that agreement with yourself. No matter what happens, I will not open any DAW whatsoever, and I will not make music for a month. Also, and here comes the tricky part, I'm not allowed to listen to music I've made myself, or remixed, or bootlegged, or whatever, nor to the artist I'm trying to sound. So in my case, that means no deep house, bass house, future house, and the whole thing, and I will not open a DAW. Why? Well, that's very simple, because once you don't get what you want, you will start getting hungry. And once you start getting hungry, you'll get that energy back. Simply because you tricked yourself into not even not opening, but not even allowing yourself to open your DAW. And by that way, by really tricking yourself and flipping the script, you'll sort of reset. And also you got some more time to listen to music you used to love, go out, pet a puppy, fry a chicken, live life. Go to grandma. That's always good. Oh, this is also an amazing question. As an artist, you most likely get tired of your own music, but others might think it's amazing. It's the artist's curse. It is indeed. Um, at one point, I really didn't want to play Bought My Rhythm anymore, because the song has been out since 2011 and actually made it in 2006. So, pretty much 12 years later, do I really want to play that song? No. But then again, I'm not playing it for me. I'm playing it for the people that want to hear that song, if they request it, that is. So, yeah, of course, I do get tired of playing my own music, but if you reach the point as a DJ where like, yeah, fuck, man, I don't want to play my own music, well, then you took a wrong turn somewhere. I'm always grateful if people actually do want to hear my music. And it's pretty logical that, that song is it doesn't bring anything new to me, because I know every last bit, sample, and detail about that song there is to know. So sometimes an artist, you're like way too up close to your own stuff in order to appreciate it. I love the way Facebook, by the way, tends to sort comments in a way that you can't really make sense of the things at all. Well, more people want to have tickets donated. Oh, sorry, that's just not going to happen. All right, we're going back to the survival guide of Dancefair. And before I forget to mention it, please do buy your tickets at Dancefair. All right, let's go back to why we are here. How to become a DJ. Well, it's very simple. First of all, you get equipment, and you might have to work for that. Once you get equipment, please do realize that equipment does not make the man. You will suck at the beginning. Everybody sucks in the beginning. Don't worry about it. You'll get better. Just keep on going. It's like playing, what is it? Dark Souls. Get good. The second thing in becoming a DJ is a name. And this is a pretty important question. A lot of people seem to ask this question online, between all the questions of sending Bobs and Virginia and that kind of stuff. But, hey, I need a name. Can you think of a name? First of all, think of your own name, because it's your name. I mean, your parents already thought of your name. This is the one time you can actually name yourself. So think about it, but don't overthink it. There's loosely just two types of names. Names that mean something, and names that mean nothing. Just like the word Google didn't really mean a whole lot, as far as my knowledge goes, before Google made it a search engine. But other words, yeah, if your name is DJ Snake, yeah, well, snakes have been around for quite a while. Try to find something that is unique, mash your first and last name together. We had Brooks here a couple of weeks ago, and Brooks actually came from his last name, Hardwell. is actually a rough translation of his last name. In my case, Vato Gonzalez comes from a quite a long story. I'll keep it short, but when I was about 13, I watched the movie Blood In, Blood Out about Latino American street gangs. And one of these gangs was called Vatos Locos, which means pretty much loco means crazy, and Vato means something like in between brother and friends, homeboy, something like that for Hispanic people. So I really, really love that movie, but I love that movie a little bit too much. So some of my friends started to get a bit annoyed by the fact that I just always wanted to watch that movie. So they started calling me Vato as a nickname, or pretty much like, oh, fuck, here he goes with a Vato movie. So that's where Vato comes from. I'm a bit hyperactive. Some promoter called me Speedy Gonzalez. Vato Gonzalez. So my name means something. Your name can also be complete gibberish. As long as it's unique and it's simple, and don't use any dashes in your name. It's really annoying if you have a dash in your name and you want to have a domain name, or you think of some sort of name that doesn't translate well into an Instagram or Twitter username. They'll put you into trouble. There's actually a website called namecheck.com, and you can just type in any random artist name you might like, and it will check YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and 20 or 30 other services whether or not that name is available. And it might be handy because I've got vatogonzalez.com, twitter.com/vatogonzalez, and pretty much any random social media you can think of /vatogonzalez is me. So you got to think about that, and please do avoid the cliches. I mean, it's no secret I'm not a great fan of trap rappers, but, you know, they haven't really hit the originality mark with their names. It's all like little chump, little pump, little dump, little, you know, it's not really that original. The first guy that did it, that was cool, but, you know, try to bring something new. So DJ, how to become one? Get DJs, get good. Think of a name. And then you come to the logo. Oh, the logo is always a good one. There's a lot of mistakes going on with logos. The first and biggest mistake is not having a logo at all. You know, just standard font type with your name just isn't cool enough. You need a logo if you want to be on certain flyers. Some people do have a logo, but they only have it like in this really tiny JPEG format. That's not a logo. You need your logo in a vector format. And if you don't know what a vector format is, it's pretty much, it's a different way of saving a picture. A JPEG photo is heavily compressed, but it is made of tiny little pixels. A vector is not made of pixels. It's made of lines that are stored in some mathematical way so that you can infinitely zoom in on a vector. So it doesn't matter whether or not it's really small or really big, like the Dancefair logo in the back. Another big mistake I see with a lot of logos is full color logos. I mean, it's great to have a sort of a rainbow of colors in your logo, until you're a designer and try to make a flyer that is only in red, black, and white. And then somebody comes on with a completely different color logo. That doesn't work. Also, it will not translate into most forms of merchandising. You don't want to have that amazing logo and then at one point people start asking for stuff and you can't translate it into certain merchandise or certain things. It makes it really hard, a full color logo. And also, don't try to make a logo that looks exactly the same like everybody else's. And there seems to be a trend. Every time there is a new logo style popping up, there's a ton of DJs jumping on that train. The problem is most logos are printed really small on flyers. So if your logo looks too much like Martin Garrix's, well, their first ID will not be your name, but it will be Garrix, and that is not good for your name. So you got your logo on top, on the lockdown. You got that one down. Press kit. I'm going to give you a couple of hints about press kits as well. The number one biggest mistake you should never, ever, ever, ever do on a press kit photo is wear headphones. That is so 1980s. You can't do that. I mean, sure, if you want to be a DJ that gets booked at weddings, go for it. If you want to be the master of the bar mitzvah, go for it. But nah, You can be like, I've got my headphones on, especially that pose, the gaze looking up while holding your headphones. That's the worst. Just don't. I actually only got one photo of me with headphones on, and then I turned the shells around and looked really annoying, and that was my I'm Mickey House pose. And I think later on somebody actually became a DJ by the name of Mickey House. So cheers to you. The second mistake I tend to see with beginning DJs is the look at my impressive mixer photo. And also with the stargaze up with the mixer or a turntable or some other decks. Don't hold equipment in your hands. Because, the bar mitzvahs and the birthday bashes might not book you. But really wrong 80 parties might. So don't do that. Just don't take equipment with you. That's too cliche. Also, what doesn't work is, I see this with a lot of young kids, they try to think that there's something they're not. Look, if you are a pale, skinny, very white, small dude, that's okay. Just don't go and try to look like a 900-pound bodybuilder with an attitude from Russia. You'll see this little scrawny guy looking like, ugh. I've tried that look for many years. Nobody bought it. So make sure the way you look is, just the way you look. And it can be like sort of like a cool version of you, but don't try to adapt somebody else's look if that isn't you. It doesn't make sense. It sounds really stupid, and I don't think a lot of guys done this before because it's so stupid to do. Practice in front of a mirror before a photo shoot. Also, when you are in front of the mirror, check your clothing. Buy some new stuff. You don't want to be in your Sunday sweatpants on a press pic, unless that is your image, obviously. If that is you, if you're like, I'm the 100% sweatpants guy, be that guy, go for it. And, well, this goes actually without saying, go to a freaking barber. But not on the same day. Now, this is important, because the guy making the pictures will otherwise get really depressed in, retouching it. Because if you just went to the barber, and especially if you got a barber that's like really old school and you use the alcohol, yes, your face will be all red with spots and everything. Go the day before or as early on the day as possible so your skin can calm down for a minute. And this, I think, also goes without saying. Taking pictures just costs money. And people think, yeah, but he takes pictures, it's just one click. Yeah, but, for that one click, he had to train for a couple of years. So if you pay peanuts, you'll get monkeys. It's as simple as that. Also, be smart and ask for the raw files. Now, this is one of those things not many people know if you're not into photography. When you make a photo with your telephone, it saves it as a JPEG file, or with the updated iPhone as an HVAC or something. There's a new format coming. But a big professional camera does not, well, it can take JPEGs, but it makes pictures in a raw format. In that format is way more information than in a JPEG, and you can do way more with it, especially when it comes to, making certain posters and everything. So ask for them as well, the originals. And have a contract about who actually owns the picture, because just because you paid for his services as a photographer doesn't automatically make the pictures your property. A lot of people tend to forget that. And last but not least, and this is a thing I think all DJs should do, really. And I'm not just talking about my own experience as a DJ, but I'm talking about my own experience as a designer. Have somebody cut out your picture. Cut out the background, but professionally, like really good. And then save it as a transparent PNG. Because there is nothing worse, my friends, than finally headlining at your favorite party, you're king of the world, and some shithead designer cuts off half of your ear or just messes up your whole hairdo simply because he doesn't know how to cut out pictures. So I always provide transparent pictures. So that is pretty much on how to become a DJ, the basics. And the advanced stuff you'll have to check out on Dancefair. Now, not everybody wants to be a DJ. A lot of people want to become a producer. And there's a lot of questions about whether or not you should go and study. Now, my personal opinion is if you want to study on instruments, get some schooling in that, yes. If you want to get some training in a DAW, yes, go for it. Get some training as a DJ. Personally, I don't think that's necessary because DJing is actually not that difficult. And it's mostly about training your ears to be able to listen to 2 or 3 records at the same time. And there isn't a school that can learn you that. You'll have to figure that one out yourself because there's, you gotta connect some wires in your brains. And there's a lot of questions about, should I do a bachelor degree in musical production? And I personally don't think that is necessarily a good idea. If you're gonna get a bachelor, go do something like engineering. Or, I don't know, something that will give you an actual job in case music fails. Because sometimes it just does. Because the musical education you will get is, first of all, it's quite broad. And second of all, they cannot teach you discipline. And you'll need it. They cannot teach you motivation. And you'll need it. They cannot teach you how to be creative. And, you're definitely going to need that. So the most important traits of an artist, an education cannot teach you. Seminars, workshops, panels, and little courses on the side. Yes, of course, they can teach you things. But a 4-year study to become an artist, it's not something you can learn from a book. You got to be some special sort of nutcase that just goes for it and learns himself or herself things. And that is the most important reason why I personally don't believe in a musical education to become an electronic artist. Is you need to be able to teach yourself stuff. Let's see if we got a few questions, if there are any questions at all. If you've got any questions, I think we'll call it a day in about 10 minutes. So if you got a question, let me know on the Facebook page of Dancefair right now. And why is this never working when I want it to? Me and Facebook are just not friends today. It's simply not happening right now. Will there be another Dirty House mixtape? That's a personal question directed at me. That's also fine. Yes, of course, there will be. But it will be the last. And it will take a couple of months because I've pretty much got... Well, if you've listened to my Slam radio set of last week, you've noticed I've played an entire set with only new material I produced myself. And I pretty much got to finish all those tracks. So I'm quite busy. But there will be a new Dirty House mixtape. And it will be the last once. I will be coming to Dancefair. Some people are actually asking questions in German. That is nice. I can sort of read it, but since I'm right now live, I can't do 2 things at the same times. Ooh. I just got a hint of Dancefair. The owner himself. He asked me to tell you that if you share this video in the next 10 minutes before we're going to shut down, we're going to give away 1 goodie bag, including KRK headphones. And I actually got the KRK headphones, the yellow ones, myself, not the monitor speakers, but the headphones. And the headphones are really nice. I use them a lot. They're also great for making phone calls for some reasons. So you definitely want that. If you want one and the rest of the Dancefair goodie bag with a lot of cool stuff in there, please share this. Since we're done in about 10 minutes. And there's not an extreme amount of people asking questions right now. So the chances are actually pretty big you'll get it. All right, somebody asked, would I recommend any masterclasses? Well, the thing I can recommend is divide your choices into 2 main categories. 1, artists you just really like. And 2, masterclasses with a subject that really interests you, even though you don't know who the hell is doing it. Sometimes some underground, unknown techno guy explaining some very deep stuff about your favorite DAW can be much more educative than listening to your favorite artist talk about how much he threw up last week because he was drunk as fuck. It's funny though, but... All right, so we'll be giving away the goodie bag after this live stream is done and the video is online. By the way, big shout outs to the owner of Dancefair. He's a really cool guy, and I told him not to worry today and, sleep for a change, but apparently he didn't. So Norman, get the fuck off the live stream. Get some sleep, man. All right, I think that pretty much is all the questions. Do we have any more insane questions? Or I see a lot of things already answered. And a lot of German. All right. There is last few bits and pieces about producing. I'd like to... I promised you about the voices. There's been a lot of questions about that as well. Right. If you want to record your own voice, because if there's one question I see a lot online, it's, hey, do you know any vocalist? Can somebody do the intro for my sets and talking into a microphone? It's actually not that hard to do it yourself, but it does take a little bit of knowledge and a lot of practice, and preferably parents that are not at home while you're practicing. So first of all, the hardware setup. It's quite simple. You basically got 4 types of mics. You got a condensator mic, and that is pretty much a microphone that requires some extra power. They're really sensitive, and they're perfect for studios where it's really, really quiet. You don't want to use them live. They're way too sensitive. They're reasonably expensive, but if you get a mic from, let's say, MXL or any other brand in that price range, you could be good from as low as 50 euros. Don't expect complete Dr. Dre Timbaland quality for that price, but, you can record decent vocals. Second category are the dynamic mics, or basically the kind of microphones you always see on stage. Pretty much the Shure SM58. Actually, the Shure SM58 is not a mic, is the mic. That's, I think half of the microphones in the world are that type. They're perfect for live performance. They don't tend to screw up the sounds too much or sing along, but they're not too great for recording. If you want to record your own vocals, I suggest getting a condensator mic, and the one that uses phantom power. Although nowadays you got a lot of USB powered mics as well. Quality differs, but it's best to get one of those. Then there's my kind of microphones, which I used to work with when I wasn't that wealthy. The $5 crap microphone. Yes, you heard it. You get it when you buy a sound card, because who needs a sound card in 2018 with 7.1 surround sound? We just want just a sound card that works with Fruity or something that's got a good interface or low noise ratio. But if you get like these really cheap sound cards for consumers for watching movies, or a webcam mic or some stuff like that, that's what I call the $5 crap mic. There's a lot of good stuff you can do with it, and none of that stuff has anything to do with recording your own voice. They might make an excellent frisbee, or you can put them on the table if it's a bit wobbly, but don't even bother. And then there's one category of mic that very, very few people know about that actually works. To make it even more strange, I actually hosted a complete mixtape with one of those mics, and it's called the Ghetto mic. I actually know of a festival last year where Pep and Rash hosted with a Ghetto mic. And a Ghetto mic, my dear people watching right now, is your headphones. Yes, you can plug in your big ass headphones into the mic in, and I don't know exactly if it was left or right, but you can talk into that and it will actually record the sound. Not even that bad, depending on your headphones. And this sounds absolutely insane, I know, but it works. Because technically speaking, a microphone and a headphone are not that different from a purely technical point of view. Will it sound amazing? No, of course not. It's a headphone. Will it work? Actually, it does. And I actually recorded a mixtape once with it. So get a nice mic, something that records clean. Now, once you get your nice mic, then you get a new problem. It's called noise. Yes, noise. You might hear it right now. But in this room, there's not a whole lot of noise. Nor is there a whole lot of reverb. If you're in your room, just snap with your fingers. If it takes about 30 seconds before the sound dies down, you not only got an amazingly big bedroom, but it's also too echoey. So you need some insulation, some foam. And that is where foam comes in handy. That's not on the walls to, stop the sound. It's making sure all the echo is out of the room, or at least some part. So once you got all that down, your microphone sounds clean and you haven't got too much echo and not too much noise and not too much reverb, and you're lucky enough that once you want to record your own voice, your mom doesn't suddenly turn on the washing machine. That tends to happen. Or the neighbors start drilling into the wall. End of recording session, I can tell you that. Once you got all that, you need some compression. And there is quite a difference in between compression on your vocal, because it will basically make your vocal a bit louder and less dynamic. So the soft parts, like the smacks and the breathing, will get a bit louder. And your really loud way of saying things will actually get softer. A multi-band compressor kind of does the same thing on different bands, but with a multi-band compressor, you can get that really flat radio voice. Welcome to the radio. That typical radio sound that can only come from a multi-band compressor. Depending on how you want your DJ intro to sound, I mean, you can sound like you, or you can sound like you on the radio. That's pretty much the choice. And then the rest is pretty much reverb and delay. Don't overdo it on the reverb and delay, as most clubs already have a little bit of reverb and delay in their room. So the hardware is pretty simple, but last but not least, it's great to have all this stuff, but how? How do you make yourself sound like something somebody wants to hear? And there's one thing you gotta know. Pretty much everybody on the planet that hears his own voice in a recording the first time will be like, dude, do I sound like that? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Get over it. Everybody has that. If I'm driving home tonight and I hear myself talking for pretty much 1.5 hours straight, I will be annoyed as fuck by the sound of my own voice. It happens to everybody. It's no shame, but get over it, because, you've sounded like that all your life. There's not a whole lot you can change about it. What you can do, however, is discover your own voice. A lot of people tend to speak one way, and then when they get behind a microphone, they get the gangster lean on and start talking like some stupid shit. And, you're trying to do an intro. You're not trying to voice over the next Disney cartoon. Try to stay as true to the way you speak yourself. But do sound in a proper mood. If you wanna have an intro that's really energetic, and you're like, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is DJ this and that, that's not gonna work. Then again, if you've got this beautiful lush intro with chords all trancy and this, and you start screaming like a maniac, it's also not gonna work. So get yourself in the right mood, and this is very important. Talk from your belly, because if you start talking from here, like now, I'll start sounding a bit squeamish. But if you talk from really down below in your belly, and a lot of singers, in order to check if they're doing it right, have a hand on their belly, whether or not they're really breathing and moving from down below, your voice will get much deeper. And there's also another tip I got from a close friend of mine. He's been a rapper for I think a decade and a half, and that is to pull up your upper lip. It's so stupid, but it works. Because when you're in a vocal booth, nobody sees you anyway, and it's just about the voice. But if you want to sound really clear, pull up that upper lip while talking. That will make you sound much more clear. Talk low, upper lip, and whatever you do, don't lower your voice. This really sounds bad. You know, you'll sound like a Pokemon gone wrong. If you want to lower your voice, just do it through software. That sounds at least a bit better than trying to do this. That makes no sense. And last but not least, and this is actually not easy. This is the hardest part, your accent. If you're not lucky enough to come from England or from the United States or from Canada for that matter, people will hear you are not from one of those countries. I mean, it's pretty obvious when you hear me talking, I'm definitely not from America. Or I can try to be as British as I want, but for some reason people are not buying that I'm from London. You know, accents are a funny thing and I always try to play with it, but I do realize I'll never sound anything like a real American or somebody that is from the UK. But it's good to experiment with that, because by trying to do the extremes in an accent, you can pretty much figure out what the flaws are in your own, and you can guide yourself to get rid of those typical Dutch or typical German or typical French ways of speaking English. And it's, I think for anybody, with enough time, a week or two, you can do your own DJ vocals. It is possible. I've done all my mixtapes myself. I've been a rapper at some point in my life, and I'm pretty happy I didn't go through with that. Because there's some things you want out of life, and there's some things you don't want out of life, and one of those things is me rapping. Not because I couldn't write a lyric. Oh, that wasn't the problem. It was that my lyrics were like way too complicated, with words nobody heard of, rhyme schemes nobody cared about. And I tended to be like way too sarcastic and, hip-hop and sarcasm. All right. Oh, shit. I think I'm watching online right now. Some English people joined the party now, isn't it? Ah, what a joy. Having a bubble there, mates. That's like 3 different accents altogether. But, no. It's pretty difficult because when I'm when I'm talking right now, I'm deliberately talking more American. But when I'm in England, I deliberately sound more English. It's not to suck up to English people or suck up to American people. But when you are in America and you start talking like English, as in British English, what for me is the definition of English, because American is the accent, not the language. The language is British English. That is English. American is the accent. So I started talking British during an interview, and they couldn't understand me. And when I spoke the same way in England, everybody could understand me perfectly, even though obviously they heard I wasn't native from England, but it made things much easier to communicate. And, well, if anybody from England is watching right now, as far as I know, they're not too great of a fan of the American accent in the land of the Queen. Cheers, mates. All right, so that is all about the voiceovers. It's funny, you should try it, definitely. I found out I could actually songwrite. And for the latest batch of songs that's coming up, I did actually write quite big parts, if not half of all the lyrics of the songs. And it's, even though you might not have aspirations as a producer to sing or to rap, I encourage everybody to just buy a microphone and just literally just start fucking around with it. Because it's so important that you know how to work with a microphone and how to work with vocals once you get to that all-important stage that you actually do find somebody that can actually sing amazing. You don't want to stand there as a producer with your wiener in your hands thinking, how am I going to clean up these vocals? For me, my guideline always pretty much was, if I can make my voice sound anything, well, people will not instantly go deaf from. Oh, I can definitely do wonders with somebody that can actually sing. All right, I think I've got time for one more question. Ooh, can you give us some production secrets? Ooh, production secrets. What is a production secret nobody knows? Yeah. A lot of time, a lot of people are looking for kicks and snares that sound as good as their favorite artist. And I've spent quite a lot of time in the past 1 or 2 months trying to invent new ways and techniques in sampling from existing tracks without actually having the stems. And right now I've gotten to a certain point where I can pretty much make stems from any track I want. And I mean filtering the living hell out of something, replaying, recreating synths and everything. I tend to go a bit overboard when I'm trying to do a bootleg. But it's actually quite easy to steal a kick, even though the kick might not be in there really clean. It's a really simple trick, and I'm surprised not more people do it. And I tend to use Volume Shaper for this, but you can just simply do this without any extra plugins, and you can do this in any DAW. It's just a matter of automating your equalizer. That's it. Because if you want to sample a kick from a track, you got to know what a kick is. And a kick is a very, very extremely short piece of noise, the attack, the top of the kick. And after that, it's just bass. And there might be a little bit of room in there as well. So it's pretty much 3 parts from EQ point of view. So what I do is I place one EQ that will immediately after the first, 5 to 10 milliseconds after that initial tick is gone, they will immediately cut off all the high. Just gone. And then I'll start tweaking that, and I'll copy that to every kick of the whole track. And then I'll just listen through the track, and you'll always find one kick that you can pretty much clean up perfectly. And there's quite a lot of kicks I've sampled from tracks I really appreciate where there were no stems available. So that's pretty much... all right, this is unfair. You cannot type the word wiener in my screen and expect me not to laugh. Anyhow... I love stupid shit. But anyhow, yeah, that's sort of a trick I found out, and I'm not doing it with an EQ. I've got a whole system with Max for Live figured out as a plugin. I'm hoping to release at some point. But yeah, I've just got a basic set of pre-made plugins I made myself right now, and I just throw in any track I want, and I can extract the kick, the snare, the hi-hats, tones, bass, whatever, the melodies, the MIDI files, the whole shebang. And why? Well, first of all, because I can, pretty much. And secondly, because there's just some tracks I can't figure out how they work. So I just strip them apart and put them back in order. Just because I want to know what the producer did there. So, but for a lot of people out there who want to have certain samples, you actually can. And if you do this, be extra smart and buy the Wave version of Beatport. Saves you a lot of trouble. All right. Oh, somebody said Dyro actually made a cool tutorial for this, and Dyro is one of those guys that is like way out there on a technically advanced level. He is pretty much one of the most insane producers I know. He knows his shit real well. Ooh, one of the last few questions. Will there be a Logic Pro X stand at Dancefair? Is Logic gonna be around?
Met speciale ruimte waar alle programma's staan.
Yes, but is Logic gonna be around?
I think yes.
They think yes, but if you want to know for sure if Logic is around, check on the website of Dancefair. Oh, another few questions. Isn't it stealing when I take the kick out of a track? Well, I'll tell you a funny little story. Get around, kids. All we need is a campfire and some marshmallows and we're good. Once upon a time, there was an Afrojack. And me and said Afrojack were chilling the fuck out because he's from the same city as me and we're in the same preschool and kindergarten. We go way back. So at one point, he made a track, but he stole a kick from a Steven Jello track. And, somebody just asked him in the same way somebody is online now asking me, well, isn't that, stealing? And what might Steven Jello think? And he was like, I don't give a fuck. At one point, he actually met Steven Jello. And he asked him about it. It's like, yo, Steve, you know that song from back in the days? And Steve was like, yeah, man, I love that song. That's great. Yeah, I kind of stole the kick out of one of your tracks. Upon which Steven Jello started laughing his ass off. And he admitted, dude, I stole that kick from another track. So, kicks evolve by being sampled and resampled over and over again. So it happens. I think the kick from Animals from Martin Garrix, and that is one of the most sampled kicks ever, is a sampled kick from, I'm not sure whether it was Sander van Doorn or Sander Kleinenberg, whatever. He sampled it from somebody. So, sampling kicks and snares, nobody gives a shit about a kick or a snare. If you sample an entire melody or a voice, yeah, you'll have a problem. I think strictly technically speaking, it is still copyright infringement, but seriously, I've never heard of just somebody bitching about the fact that somebody stole their kick and started a lawsuit. So don't worry about that. It's cool to see there's still some people on Logic Pro X. And yes, I am on Ableton Live 10. I was in the beta program. Of course, I'm a freaking nerd. I'm supposed to have the beta. And it works like a charm. Well, I think this pretty much wraps it up for this episode. I think I've told you pretty much all the basics. And I actually had a lot more in store. But I thought I would be spilling all the beans for the rest of Dancefair. So, after this episode, we will check who shared this video, and we're going to give away that KRK goodie bag to one of the Happy Tree friends that is now currently active on Facebook. I'm going to put this down because, you know what? I cannot look at it and talk to you at the same time because I'll just get into my production zone. I hope to see everybody this weekend. Don't forget www.dancefair.nl. Share this video, and one of you lucky guys will get the goodie bag with the excellent KRK headphone and some more stuff. Get your tickets before they're sold out because, the hotel tickets are already gone. And I want to see you all, and maybe I'll meet you, maybe I don't. And don't forget all the guidelines I gave it on how to survive a dance fair. I'm Vato Gonzalez. Oi!